All right, you're welcome back. Now it's still TVC Breakfast. Amnesty International says no fewer than 1,813 people have been murdered in 17 states across Nigeria this year as a result of farmers-herders conflict, communal clashes, Boko Haram attacks, as well as banditry.
Absolutely. Now, this is double the number killed last year, and that's according to Rights Group, which says rising insecurity in the country is being fueled by government's failure to hold murderers to account. Amnesty International says its investigations show frequent failure by security agents to ward off attackers who usually arrive in their hundreds, spend hours killing people, set houses on fire, and then disappear without a trace.
The report pointed out to the latest incident in Plateau State where armed gunmen attacked 11 villages. Amnesty's report claims that the attack lasted at least 7 hours and that no fewer than 200 villagers were killed without intervention from security forces. Well, to help us take a look at this, we still have Dr. Ojo in the house, communication strategist and of course a security and business development consultant and CEO of Security Risk Crisis, Femi Aratokunle. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for being here with us.
Good morning.
Well, Femi, let me start with you as a security expert. I'm sure you are familiar with the Amnesty International report saying or submitting that government's inaction has largely fueled the crisis that we have on the ground at the moment. This is the same position that Nigerians have held over time, isn't it?
Well, let me put it this way. It's not new for Amnesty International coming about with different figures and figures and figures. But it's sad. This is Nigeria. More than 190 million. And our government, as far back as 1960, refused to take the proper action in providing and implementing and monitoring the security system in the country. Up till now, what we keep seeing seems to me to be failings and failings and failings and failings. Let us look at the graph. The graph is sliding down. It's not even moving up that we're progressing, but rather it's going completely flat out now. Where do we want to start from? Do we want to start from Zamfara, Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, Jos, Benue, all the way down to the south? We're still talking there because it's yet to affect the West. Until we're down there, then we will know that we are in real trouble.
In essence, are you saying that is the systemic rot in the security structure of Nigeria's agencies since independence that is causing the problem?
I'm not even trying to praise any government, or I'm not even trying to appeal to any government, but they should look at themselves first, that hang on a minute, we are in a position to provide and care for lives and properties. But are we actually providing and caring for lives and properties? The answer seems to be no. And again, the president of this country, when he was campaigning, said one thing: I would take responsibilities for anything that happens under my watch. So is he really ready as an APC member, as the president, as the father of the nation, to say, you know what, guys, we have failed, let us restructure the security system in the country? Because we've overstretched our police officers, we have overstretched our military, we have even overstretched the civil defense.
Are they even enough in the first place?
The question is, they are not even enough.
But when you talk about restructuring of the security forces, what do you mean to restructure the security forces?
Let us take a very good look at Lagos State. I'll use Lagos State as my platform to share my views today. Lagos State has put so many security forces in place. Vigilantes, Lagos State Naval Corps, LASMA, a whole lot of different things. Yes, they are trying to build a structure. Yes, they are working towards it. They are not getting it right, but at least something is in place to manage for now. But what about other states? Why can't we draft something of good advantage from what the CJTF in Borno State did and put it in place in all these sporadic attack states?
Okay.
We're not doing that. So Amnesty International seems to get it right that, you know what, we're wrong, and the government should answer for the failings they've done all in the past.
Okay, Doctor,
it's going on and on.
Let's bring you in at this time. You, of course, I'm sure you have gone through the report by Amnesty International saying that the inaction of the government is just causing more problem.
I'm going to start on the note of responsibility. You see, In 2014, when the Global Terrorism Index was released and they put this herdsmen militant as the fourth deadliest group in the world, the then government came out and everybody in the government was shouting, no, it is a lie. It's sponsored by APC and blah, 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 blah. That was in 2014. They did not take responsibility. The same thing is happening now during APC era. And we are committing the same blunder of the past. Without taking responsibility, we cannot have a solution. And that is where the complete failure of government lies. Because they still know that they will still come out and blame opposition. And some certain section of the society will still accept that as a fact. You cannot come to me and blame opposition.
There seems to be a template.
There's a template. You know, there's a template. And I was thinking about in management, in leadership and management, there's what they call disruptive thinking. I was thinking about a situation where a government will come and disrupt the entire thinking flow of governance. This is the way we have been moving. Now, he talked about from 1960. In 1960, we've always had all this problem. But in 1950, we were about 50 million people. Yeah. In the 80s, we were about 70 million people. Sure, right. Now we are over 200 million people.
No, let's put it down.
Well, officially around 193 million.
Our problem has been able to survive every solution that we have given. Now it has become complex, and yet government is not taking responsibility. So before we will talk about tackling this issue, then we must talk about responsibility. Come on, I'm not even talking in support of whether they sack the service chief or not. I am talking in respect of the fact that there's a budget for protection. And every government that has come to Nigeria has used that single ministry to siphon our money because nobody gets to investigate it. Maybe they are even stealing this government now. So where is the budgetary allocation going? If you budget money for security and you cannot secure the...
You see, John.
And you know, Dr., I'm reminded of the words of Winston Churchill, who said, every man who turns at every turn to throw stones at dogs that bark at him will never get to his destination.
Where it's going, yes.
Yeah. What do you make of Femi Adesina and co coming out always to make reference to the killings during Jonathan era?
No,
a man who knows what he's doing.
Hold on. I am not talking about individuals or personality. I am talking about template. This government is using the same old template. In their security, they are using the same old template. In their fight against corruption, they are using the same old template. I was asking a question. When we talk about corruption, I gave two examples. Vivid example. Number one of it is that in my own very eye, civil defense, what do they call them? They were recruiting. And they packed about 2,000 people when this government came on board. And they were supposed to pay them a certain amount of money. But when these guys were going, they have the money. And nobody did anything. Number two, there was somebody who was Jonathan campaign coordinator for Southwest. He coordinated activities for Jonathan in Southwest. There were monies that got missing, security money. And you have been running around chasing Fayose because it's against your government. Where is the man? It's the same template. Once you talk against the government, they come after you. It's the same template of security, of blaming opposition.
All right, Femi, it has a political undertone to it.
Well, you can say there's a political undertone to it, but I will argue it.
Okay.
Not in favor of any government, but the point is this. Let us go back to our research as far back as 2012. Benue State organized a civilian joint task force program for Benue State for people to become civilian, to become security watchdog for the state. But unfortunately, John, the picture I saw was terrifying. That is this the set of people that's going to govern and protect lives and properties? The same thing happened in Lagos State. Go back to 2 years ago, last year, before the commissioning of Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps. The picture they portrayed was that, yes, they're going to be protecting lives and properties, walking around the street and, gathering intelligence for the police to use. But what are they doing today? You see them pitching around police officers, around traffic and all the areas. Why the use of all these? So we have a structure, just like what you said, that we have failed and we need to restructure. It is not just about changing the service chiefs, but it's about changing the mentality and the attitude of, are we actually doing it the way others are doing it? What lessons have we learned from traveling abroad to see things and bring it back home and work alongside with it? To me, it is a total failure, and it's high time we look into it very well. That do we need to inject new ideas, or perhaps call on the diasporas? How has it been done? Can you help us out?
All right, Femi.
If they can, then let's do it.
Now, the military, in relation to the killings in Plateau, of course, came out to say they have arrested some suspects and all that. Are you satisfied with just arresting suspects and parading them?
Well, to be honest with you, parading them doesn't really make a difference, because this is a known situation that it is still going to happen again and again. But the point is this: why do you not help your citizens by, okay, what we're going to do is this, let us look for a way to diffuse or mitigate this situation. How can we do this? It's by using our own people, using the people of Benue State, Plateau State, and all the rest where we have all these attacks, to at least rise up in a proper way to defend themselves. I'm not saying give them arms, please. But all I'm saying is this: we need a counter-terrorism strategy pattern that will work for each different state.
Now, what you just said is one of the reasons many that are supporting the need for state police have been saying that if there is state police, it's the indigenes of a state that would be part of that state police, and they would be able to protect their own people.
Of course, that is the whole idea. Because basically, when you have a state policing program, what you need is this: who is going to train them? What sort of resources do they need that will enhance and make their work done effectively? Are we going to be using the same set of Nigerian police force that seems to have derailed a little bit, or that are not fully empowered, that are not fully given the real arms and, you know, security protection they do need themselves, that are lacking welfare? So what kind of tradition are we putting back again, or what kind of business are we going to be giving again to those that we want to prepare them as state policing? And are they not going to use it for politics again?
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Lendo, one of the arguments that people have presented against the creation of state police is that governors might just use them for political, gains, to attack opponents, and all of that.
Even apart from that, when you create state police with this template we have now,
it's not going to work.
You are just going to double extortion. You're going to double harassment. I was flagged down on Friday or Thursday by a police officer, and after discussion and all that, because ordinarily I would stop and even engage them. And he told me that he went for this foreign mission, and an inspector who came from the US was earning, after converting the money, was earning about 500,000 naira. But at that point in time, he was earning about 40,000 or 42,000 naira. Then he laid down that, even most times, this is what the public don't get to know. They don't get paid on time. Most times, when they die, they don't get their gratuity, their families
are they even paid?
And all that.
How much are they paid?
You are going to now duplicate this kind of style again in a state where the governors are struggling to pay salaries. This is a defective structural problem. That's what we have. And that, if we bring in state police now, it's not going to solve it.
But then, Doctor, the arguments really for and against are so many. But then when you look at the kind of system Nigeria is practicing, they'll tell you that why not practice the proper federal system of government that you're practicing?
Let the states, let me tell you, there's no proper federal system anywhere. Everywhere, read all through, everywhere has a peculiar structure that suits them. What we should look for is not even a proper federal system. What we should look for is a peculiar system that suits us as a people. And that's what they practice. In the US, for example, no party will rule for more than 8 years. There's a system in place. Once your party comes and rule for 8 years, either you win popular election or not, you are going to electoral college to face it, whether you will pass it. So there must be peculiarity. See, once we get the issue of police is a symbol of any nation. I did a course on public leadership in the UK, and everything they taught in the course is about the police. It's about, because that is, if the government, let me cite an example. This government is fighting corruption. The president will say, I'm fighting corruption. And everybody can believe him, because I know he doesn't steal. He will never steal. I believe him. But anytime I'm driving home and I see a policeman flag me down and collect money from me, it rubbishes whatever campaign the president is campaigning. It shows that the symbol of our public service is police. Once we get it right, we are going to get every other thing right. But if we do not get it right, we'll not get anything right.
All right, Femi, sometime last week we had an analyst here who said, look, ranching may not be the solution to the problem that we're having in the Middle Belt, you know, and all of that. National dialogue also would not, you know, solve the problem. And I wondered, I asked him, what, in your opinion, would you say would be the solution to this? But it wasn't articulate as far as the solutions would be. As a security expert, what do you think would be the solution to the problems that we're having there?
Well, see, to be honest with you, it's a very complex one because over time, the issue of ranching, cattle herdsmen, killings of cows, killings of human beings seems to be swept aside. Now it's gotten to a stage whereby the bubble has gone busted and we find nowhere to hide our faces again. So we're now using a whole lot of issues to diffuse it, using ISIS, Boko Haram, defectors, this one, that one, PDP, APC, NCP, in fact, NNS or whatever they call it. So we're completely confused right now, but the only solution I think will happen is this. What does it cost the government in going into proper agricultural technology? Why do we have agricultural students in schools? Why can't they give them a project that, okay, I want you to look for a way whereby you can contain and manage over 50,000 cows in a year. Let's see what's going to give us. We have the grass, we have the whole materials, we have the manpower, but we're not doing it. Educate the herdsmen, educate the Meyati, whatever they are called. Meyatiala, educate them. Moving around from one state to the other seems to be causing the problem. And right now, farmers are being killed. Generation seems to be wiping out slowly. Are we moving towards genocide? We're not even looking at that at the moment. Because once you go into a village and you completely wipe out about 3 to 4 generations, what do we call that in the first place? So I think the government has got the responsibility to start looking into how do we change the face of agriculture in this country? Not just the rice, but how do we deal with the situation of, okay, we have a situation, let us contain it. Don't even go to the West to start begging them for ranching field or whatsoever. Which state is producing cows? Okay, let us give you AXYZ stuff around here and let's see how it's going to work. It's a pilot scheme. Let us try something before we now say, yes, this is the right way to go.
Well, then, in fact, this is quite confusing really, because from what we've heard from, at one time from President Muhammadu Buhari saying these people, the so-called herdsmen, members of a terrorist organization from Libya was spilled into the country wielding arms and all that. DSS at the point came to tell us that the killers, parading as herdsmen, are actually members of ISWA, a terrorist organization operating in the West African region. And then, you know, all of this at a point, some are saying that, yeah, they are actually herdsmen, not, of course, of the tribe any are saying they are, but generally herdsmen. But so, for what you just suggested to work, the first step, disarmament. Yes. How do you identify? Because remember, I think we talked about this earlier, months back, about a minister actually saying that some of these people wield ammunition. So, disarmament. Where did they get their arms from? A lot of things really need to be put in place before this could really work. Okay,
I will use my own expert opinion to probably put some things in place for you. An AK-47 rifle has got a serial number. Where it's made from, what year, what model. We can go from there to start saying, okay, where is this arm from? Who purchased it? What year was it purchased? We can start from a whole lot of, you see, investigation can go a whole long way to understand maybe it was stolen from the military or from this or from that. We can understand all that. Yes, we know we have a porous border. Yes, the government is trying to put a whole lot of things in place. But hang on a minute. In Nigeria in the 60s and 70s and 80s, we have a security system that we call the forest guards. The question is, where are they? We have completely collapsed this institution. They could have been in a better position to help the police and the military better. You know why?
Especially in the forests.
Especially the forests. This is their job. This is what they are meant to do. In Ondo State, Edo State, and other riverine areas where they cut woods and everything, we have them there, protecting and enforcing that illegal loggers are not there, you know, to steal. So we can bring them back because now they don't exist anymore. All right, Doctor. So this is one of the biggest problems we have.
Let's also look at the role of the media, because there is a sense in which you also belong in here. Is there a sense in which the media help to exacerbate the condition, the crisis that we have on ground? Because if you remember sometime last week, there was a comment, all right, that was attributed to the leadership, the chairman of Int'l, association, Chiroma, Danladi Chiroma, which eventually turned out to be false. He protested vigorously, and then the media, concerned, had to do very thorough investigation and discovered that it was false, and they had to take action. So is there a sense in which the media also help in exacerbating the condition on ground?
Of course, the media, the media is a stakeholder when it comes to what is happening now. And at the level that we are in now, the media too must be held responsible for helping the situation to the point where we are in now. Number one is that, first is that everybody is talking from the angle of advantage. What am I going to benefit? Who am I supporting? And that happens in virtually all the media houses. That people will come up and they give them the opportunity to speak for a guest, depending on where the source of the media house or who they are supporting. That is number one. Number two is also the issue of ethnicity. Truth has disappeared. Once this man belongs to my ethnic grouping, then I do not want to see anything wrong in it. So our reportage, in essence, has affected the way our leaders behave. If every one of us can stand on the path of truth, then they will know. There's nothing that will make this, I will tell anybody. If everybody can say the truth the way it is, if a government is failing, there's no need pampering the government. You tell the government to its face, you are failing. And the government will adjust. That's where, I think that's where the major issue is. The major issue of ethnicity, this man belongs to my ethnic grouping, so I have to color the story that concerns him. This man is a Christian, and because I'm a Christian, I have to protect him. This one is a Muslim, because until we end all this, unfortunately, it is like the problem of the police. If you do not take the welfare of media practitioners very well, if you do not take care of them, then issues like this, slanting of news stories, will continue to come up. Unfortunately, those who have the public space too, those who come on media, because they benefit something from government, they are either speaking for or against. Nobody is speaking out of conviction. So that's where the issues are.
Okay, Femi, yeah, let's look at the statement by Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, days back, saying that President Muhammadu Buhari could shake up the security system, rejig the whole thing. What do you expect the president to do?
My answer to that is this. Have they actually gone around to ask the governors of every state that what exactly are you doing with the security budget vote given to you every quarterly? Let us look at ever since we've started this new democracy as far back as 1999. Am I right? What exactly have we done with all this? Because if we have this security budget vote used the way they're meant to use, basically right now we won't be having all these issues because we have already failed as far back as that period. Up till now, no one is answering questions.
But knowing that the governors don't have power over the police is under the executive.
Excuse me, if they don't have the power, but at least they can create a structure with the money given to them to make something work better. How? After all, we have NGOs donating to police. So they can do the same thing.
But is it not because they are not accounting for that money? And that's
because nobody's enforcing, nobody's monitoring, nobody's asking questions, no one is auditing. We need to audit what we do.
And sometimes you wonder, why do you give a security fund to governors and you do not ask them to account for it?
Well,
what could be responsible for that?
Again, just like what John said, politics, ethnics, a lot of things will definitely play a part.
You see, what's responsible for that is still what is responsible for herdsmen attack.
Yes.
Why we can't solve the problem, and it's very simple. We have this mindset of free food, everything free. Do you know why Int'l is actually going against what's it called? Having their own. It's because it's because they are used to free things. You know, when you cage your animal, you'll be forced to buy their food.
Yes.
That's why, because we have this mentality of let everything become free, and that's what is happening to governor. Because that security vote is almost free. At a point, a state governor that I had information about could not pay salary. And for that quarter, he got over 500 million. And yet he was explaining on television, he was begging the workers that, oh, I cannot pay salary. Because, see, no state government, no federal government of Nigeria can come out and say we are broke. We cannot be broke. But again, I get to some point and say, is that the reason why we are black? Blessed, but always lacking.
Right, so Femi, so there is a sense.
I need to come in here because of time, really. On the final note, because they're running out of time.
Right.
What should be done? I'm sure you heard of the latest killing in Plateau State, where
yes.
some people have been killed. And
Unfortunately, I've got friends around there. I've got people I've actually delivered training to, and they keep saying one thing: Femi, why not come down and come and do AXYZ? And I said, hang on a minute, this is a state government and federal government issue. You don't want people just to jump into your state and start doing AXYZ. We need to have a platform, just like what John said. We need a total restructuring of the security policing system in the country. If we don't have it, we want the same set of people to vote, and yet we're not providing for lives and protection of properties. It's going to be catastrophic.
So, Doctor, there is a sense in which the security vote must be reviewed.
It must.
It must.
It must.
It's a must.
Don't let us just forget about security vote and say we don't have to mention it. No, this has always, since the inception of democracy, go read your book. You will know that the one particular ministry or one particular thing that people hide under to steal money is security, because they will not give account.
And the common saying is, it is the responsibility of the government to provide security,
yes,
the right
if it is
of
the
the people to
responsibility
get
of the government,
protected.
excuse me, the government has given you a budget, so what are you doing with your own budget?
Exactly, like I was saying, the right of the people to be protected.
Yes,
and they
have
need
the
to
right. That is why you are the governor. That is why you're in the state to protect. So don't let us just blame the president. Come on, give this guy a break.
Femi Aratokun-Ale, CEO, Security Risk Crisis Management and Security Development Consultant. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
And our Leadership and Communications Strategist. Thank you as always, Dr. John.
Right,
thank you for coming.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
gentlemen.